everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of the Horror Lounge. I wrote it as 5 in my notes. Excuse me. This is the show in which the best horrorologists in town will discuss horror in depth and get a conversation going for seasoned horror viewers, as helping introduce newbies to the horror genre. I am Re-Gor from Then Is Now podcast and the East Meets the West podcast.
I'm Bill Van Ryn from Fanzine Drive-In Asylum, Facebook page Groovy Doom.
Awesome. And joining us today is actor Hunter Redfern, who was on a previous guest on Then Is Now podcast to discuss the movie he's in called The Wendigo. How's it going, man?
Pretty well. My name is Hunter Redfern. I'm pretty sure you already said it, but hi. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Glad to have you.
Last time Bill was not here. I did not see Bill the last time I was.
No, I think we just did audio podcast. It was for Then Is Now podcast, not the Fright Lounge, which is what we're doing right now.
Gotcha.
So can you tell us the status of Wendigo? Has it been released yet, or?
Right now they are doing a digital premiere while doing a festival run during the month of October, and I believe the later part of September. And we're also doing an in-person premiere the 29th, which that's for cast and crew. And I believe it's the 28th is when the digital premiere is. And I believe there are some links to that I'll share with you in a little bit.
Excellent. And we'll put those in the show notes afterwards. Just checking. There we go. Okay, I was just making sure the Facebook feed was up. It looks like.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, we are good. Finally, We've had technical issues for the first 5 episodes, but I think we got it down.
I promise to pay attention to chat tonight too.
I'll help out too with the chat if you want.
Awesome. So funny. It's amazing. This technology is supposed to make your life easier, but I don't see any evidence of that. So we are going to have another guest on, but he won't be able to join us till about 9. So we'll talk to him when he gets here. Not going to worry about it right now. For now, we're going to jump into today's topic. Now, folks, today's topic comes with a warning. We've been touting this show as being for both seasoned horror viewers as well as newbies, people who aren't sure if they want to get into horror or watch horror movies. If you're one of those people, this is not the movie you want to start off with. No. We're venturing into very dark territory here. Today's topic is just simply not for everyone. I think the closest some of you might want to come to this movie is listening to our discussion about or watching our discussion about it, because it's a truly disturbing picture. And I will issue a spoiler alert, as we'll probably spoil the shit out of this film. So, but if you've got the intestinal fortitude for this movie, then gird your loins, as we're going to discuss none other than the granddaddy of found footage films, the infamous Ruggero Deodato film, Cannibal Holocaust from 1980. So I'm going to read the synopsis here. Excuse me. An American film crew disappears in the Amazon rainforest called Green Inferno while filming a documentary about indigenous cannibal tribes. Harold Monroe, an anthropologist at New York University, agrees to lead a rescue mission in hopes of finding the missing filmmakers. He travels to the area with the experienced guide Chaco and his assistant Miguel. The team meets an Amazon tribe called the Tree People. The Tree People give them the only remains of the film crew. The film camera and rolls contain the footage the original crew shot during their search for the real cannibals, as well as their bones. Back in the US, we get to see this footage and witness exactly what happened to the first crew. The end result leaves us questioning who the real cannibals are. So, Hunter, since you're the guest and you kind of suggested this movie when we were on Then Is Now, tell us when you first saw this and what your first impression was.
When I was going into this or going into watching it, I thought that I was just going to see, the regular found footage sort of thing. I thought that I was just going to go and watch a bunch of kids go into the Green Inferno, do their thing, I'm recording myself going around the Green Inferno. But I actually really liked the first part with the scientists going in there with Miguel and Chaco.
Chaco with a CH.
Chaco. I actually really enjoyed watching that part because it's not what I expected. But then when they start going to the other stuff, obviously it gets a little dark. But
you can say
and I I expected a little more in terms of how messed up it would be. I guess is that I expect a little bit more. Well, runtime more because it was pretty much the last like third of the movie that all the really bad stuff started happening.
Right, right. Bill?
That's true. A lot of this movie is leading up to it, leading up to the finale, I should say. But there is a lot of really disturbing stuff that comes before that, namely when the film crew themselves go in and start dehumanizing this tribe that they've come into contact with, and they go so far as to commit gang rape against the tribe females and put all these people in a hut and burn it down. So like the film crew themselves are being barbaric as well. And Roger mentioned the end of that IMDb synopsis says, "Who are the real cannibals?" And that's sort of like the send off of this film, and it called into question even our motives for going in there and making these types of films. Obviously, nobody ever made a film like Cannibal Holocaust, but there are other ways to exploit the indigenous that don't have anything to do with filming this. I think that's what the movie was. That's the framework for it, and that's already uncomfortable. And then they show you all these like bizarre, like visceral things. And let's be honest, there used to be all sorts of documentaries back in the 30s when there was just like film reels, the newsreels that people would watch before the main feature would come on. There were always documentaries about white people going into the jungle and encountering like the natives who were doing all these bizarre things, and there was always the threat of cannibalism in these reels. And this movie just says, we know what you want to see, we're going to go right for it, and we're going to give it to you. I really respect Cannibal Holocaust for that.
Right. So Bill, when did you first see it?
It was in the mid 90s. I rented it we had a great place in Pittsburgh called Incredibly Strange Video. And it was just heaven for anybody who was starting to discover Italian cinema, Spanish cinema, any kind of obscure-ish, in our terms, not a blockbuster video. So that kind of stuff is what they specialized in, and a lot of it was on it was bootleg VHS, like imports that had been dubbed into the NTSC format, and then just but it gave us access to things like this. Like Cannibal Holocaust was never released on home video in the States, on VHS, I should say. Eventually it was on DVD, but you couldn't rent Cannibal Holocaust at your local video store. So it was one of those forbidden things that when you found out about it, you were like, oh my God, is it a snuff film? Is it real? And I had to rent that one from Bruce at Incredibly Strange Video. I was not prepared for what I saw. I thought it was very disturbing. And I just had never seen anything like that. You remember, this was made at a time when these kinds of films were not prevalent. You didn't see this kind of dismemberment and really graphic violence.
Right.
And not only that, this film is incredibly cruel towards animals. And you start to realize, they're not faking it. Like they're killing these animals on screen. So that really freaked me out more than any of the, I knew the murders were simulated, obviously, but the animal deaths were very real, and it upset me. I wasn't prepared for that.
The monkey one, I was like,
yeah, all of it. Like
I was out of know. Oh,
that poor little animal. I can never remember the name of it. It's like a
ferret. The ferret, or
it's not a ferret though.
Muskrat.
It has its own name.
Was it a muskrat? Or?
No, it's mistaken for a muskrat, but they, shove a knife right up into its head over and over again, and it's alive. It doesn't die right away, and it was very upsetting. The monkey thing, obviously, that was nauseating. Then there was the turtle. They take a turtle apart. They cut its head off. fortunately, that's the most merciful death.
Yeah.
And there's another one, they shoot a pig, so I guess that was somewhat merciful, but
Yeah.
way over the line. And Ruggero Deodato admitted that years later. He was he defended it up until maybe like, I don't know, maybe the last 10, 15 years. He said like, well, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
in my
wa-
notes. Oh, sorry, Hunter. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I watched it with my girlfriend. I was like, "Hey, I got a movie we should watch. I got to watch it for this podcast, and you might like it. We'll see."
Oh, that's a sneak attack. A sneak attack.
She's like, "Are those real?" I'm like, "Maybe."
Yeah.
You know, I would swear I rented this in the 80s because my friend's sister would always take us to the video store and we'd rent all kinds of R-rated movies. Maybe I was thinking of Make Them Die Slowly, because we definitely rented that one. And you know, like Porno Holocaust and all these, just Caligula, all these horrible, horrible movies that we probably shouldn't have been seeing at age 15. But I picked this up on DVD when it came out. I have the double disc set where the second disc has all kinds of extra features and stuff. But yeah, it's one of these movies. It definitely scarred me for life, but for some reason every 5 years or so I find myself revisiting it, even though I'm sometimes just afraid to watch it because it's so disturbing.
You enjoy that feeling, don't you, Roger?
Yeah. My son even said I still get scared at movies I've already seen. So
Dang.
wanted to talk about Ruggero Deodato a little bit. Obviously Italian filmmaker. He was known for being the assistant director on the original Django film, and we covered that over in the East Meets the West podcast. Also, he did Jungle Holocaust prior to this, which had another name, and of course I didn't write it down in my notes, but it was a cannibal film as well. He's done House on the Edge of the Park, Atlantis Interceptors, The Barbarians, and just a bunch of TV shows and other movies. And he actually did something recently in 2019, which I thought was cool. But one of the films he did is one of my favorites. It's the ultra-violent Poliziotteschi film. That's a cop film in Italy called Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man, with Ray Lovelock is in that. And Rod Barnett and I also covered that on Then Is Now podcast. But that's one of my absolute favorites. It really is ultra-violent.
Jungle Holocaust was released in the United States as The Last Survivor.
Oh, okay.
It came out in like 78, I think, in the United States. The first release, it was known as The Last Survivor, and then strangely, it came back in 1981 titled Carnivorous, and that version of the movie told you that you were going to see actual cannibalism on screen. Falsely, they falsely claimed that. Fortunately.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, this movie basically brought him to fame, and he became known as an extreme director. And he even earned the nickname in France, Monsieur Cannibal. But he's influenced a lot of major directors like Oliver Stone, Quentin Tarantino, Eli Roth. In fact, he had a guest spot, a cameo in Eli Roth's 2007 film Hostel Part 2, where he plays the cannibal. So,
wow.
And then this movie, of course, was written by Gianfranco Clarici, who also wrote Devilfish, The New York Ripper, and a movie called Delirium, which I just heard. Actually, I was listening to Quentin Tarantino's podcast, and he was talking about it, and I really want to see that movie now. He also did The Antichrist and House on the Edge of the Park, and just tons and tons of horror and exploitation films. And then we've got our cast here. We've got Robert Kerman, who played Professor Harold Monroe. He was the tugboat captain in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film. And what's funny was I didn't realize that until I read it, and I just have a picture in my mind of him standing on the boat going, "He's gonna make it." He also was in Umberto Lenzi's Cannibal Ferox, which is also known as Make Them Die Slowly, that I mentioned before. Now, I could be wrong here, Bill, but can you help me out? It looks like he was in a ton of porno films, according to his IMDb, because I saw that he was in The Devil and Miss Jones Part 2.
Yes, those rumors are true. He had a porn career concurrent with his commercial, mainstream film career, which is very unusual.
Gotta make that money. Gotta make it somehow.
That's right. So many people were never able to do that, though. But he did. He used a pseudonym for his porn career, Arbola.
Hola or bola. Okay.
Yeah, so
I could see it.
sort of like a joke about the male genital. So yeah, that was his way that he sidestepped being pigeonholed as a porn actor.
That's hilarious. Yeah, because I'm looking at some of the titles and I'm going, sounds like a porno, but I could be wrong. So
You weren't wrong.
we had Gabriel York played Alan Yates. He was also in Apollo 13, Idle Hands, and a bunch of TV shows. Luca Giorgio Barbarici was played Mark Tommaso. He was just in a bunch of horror films I've never heard of. Francesca Ciardi played Faye Daniels, the chick in the film crew. And she was in a handful of stuff also that I've never heard of. But what I liked about her performance here is she had no problem getting naked at any chance she got. So, and then Perry Pirkanen played Jack Anders. He was uncredited in City of the Living Dead, Cannibal Ferox, and the Jaws ripoff, Cruel Jaws.
He suffers a fate in Cannibal Holocaust that makes every man in the audience cringe.
I remember watching that and looking at my buddy when we watched it and go, oh, wait, no, is there a similar scene in Make Them Die Slowly?
Oh yeah. Well, once you find a good thing, you keep doing it, right?
Okay, so that makes sense. I remember watching that movie. The same thing happens where they basically chop his dick off. And I looked at my buddy and we were like, did they really do that? How did they do that? And even this time around, I'm watching it going, is that a special effect? Because that looked real.
He really committed for this one. He really committed for this role. He went full method.
But that means he could never take another role quite like it.
Right. His porno career is over now.
Yeah, he wanted to get out of porn. That's why he did that.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So I had a bunch of notes on like the making of this movie. Obviously, it's one of the most controversial films and brutal films in the history of cinema. It was seized, banned, heavily censored in a lot of countries because the effects were so realistic. Deodato got arrested on suspicion of murder. Bill, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, basically he had to prove that the actors in this movie were still alive because people were so convinced that these were real murders that were captured on camera. But of course, the actors were still alive.
And he had put them under contract where they couldn't make public appearances or be in any other movies for like a year after this movie. So that sort of gave credence to the fact that maybe they were dead, at least to people who didn't know.
Yeah. There was an American distributor that tried to do that. Well, that did do that in the mid 70s. They put out a movie called Snuff, which was really just like a hippie kind of like horror movie. I think it was called not The Cult. It was something similar though, and The Slaughter is what it was called. And they shot a scene to put on the end of it of an actress being killed on camera. The camera like pulls back and reveals the fourth wall, and there's an actress there, and it leads to her being disemboweled on camera. And they put that in theaters as Snuff, and they were like, oh, and they hired people to go protest and say like, down with Snuff. Snuff depict violence towards women, and it worked because people were outraged about this. It's like, oh my God, someone is actually murdered on camera. But I think they had to prove she was still alive too.
That's hilarious. I mean, considering its reputation, this movie was only made for $100,000, which is pretty amazing. And pretty much everyone kind of agrees that this was sort of the great granddaddy, as I mentioned in the beginning, of the Blair Witch Project. It was the first film narrative that used the found footage method of telling the story. But in this one, though, he definitely, like, and I've said this before, I think to you, Bill, I think even you, Hunter, on our shows, found footage films get me nauseous. I got sick in the Cloverfield. I got sick in one called Next Stop Wonderland. I cannot stand them. But this one, it wasn't that bad. It was towards the end, I kind of had to close my eyes, and not because of the gore, but because the camera was moving a little too fast for me.
Yeah.
But for the most part, he keeps it steady, and he cuts between their footage and the actual, movie making camera, which is obviously not handheld. So I like that. I mean, what did you guys think of the whole found footage concept?
I honestly I really enjoyed it. Like, wait, they didn't do it at the beginning, right? No, they didn't do much of any, or if not any, at the beginning, right?
Right.
No,
Whenever
it's
they're
it
at,
They brought
starts
the
off
film
in the
in.
third person and then it turns into found footage.
Right.
it definitely, the way they did it, where they would be like in that theater, or like in that little room where he's just looking at it like by himself, or like something like that. I really liked how they kind of incorporated that. So it's not like a complete like, oh, we found this footage, we made a movie. Like it's a more integrative with the actual how something's normally filmed.
Well, and you've got the producers that they want to make it. They hadn't seen the whole footage. And Dr. Monroe is like, oh, no, no, no. You have to see the whole thing.
You sure you want to see this? Okay. And then at the end,
Yeah, that's a great scene towards the end where they're sitting there and it's cutting back and forth between the producers and the actual footage. And you just see the looks on their faces changing as they're like, oh, this is no.
as it just gets more and more egregious, if
Yeah.
that's the word. Like
I thought they were a little nonchalant myself. I wanted to see them puking after watching it.
They could have been a little more distraught about it, I think.
Yeah, they did kind of end it quickly there with that. But yeah, I think it's just how they were too. They were just cold people to begin with. They didn't really give a shit about anybody.
True.
And this just kind of didn't really push them over the edge. It just made them think twice, I guess.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't get initially, and I found this in the research, and maybe I missed the scene. You guys can help me out here. When the sequence of events where the film crew pretty much takes everybody in the village, shoves them into the hut and sets it on fire, and then they like the guys rape a woman, like the gang raper or something, and it just gets worse and worse. I had read that they were trying to do that, or they were doing that to make it look like the Tree People's rival tribe had done it, and they were trying to start a war between the tribes. Or was that said in the movie? Because I didn't quite get that out of the film.
The implication was there.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was trying to get my thought together. You can go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty much stated that that's the reason. You hear them discussing it, and you can tell that the director Alan he doesn't care about anybody's life in these movies. Like he just wants to make. He keeps saying like, we're going to get an Oscar for this, and he just keeps going further and further with this. So yeah, they just wanted something to capture on camera, because even if it doesn't matter who set fire to the hut, you can make up whatever story you want and say like, oh yeah, we caught the warring tribe set this hut on fire, but really they had done it. So they didn't care.
And they had done I think there was a part where they had talked about they did this with their other films that they'd done.
Yeah, you're right.
And also there was one that he was talking to the camera saying about how the strong, it was sort of like a nonchalant way of being like, oh, we're stronger so we can do this, or we're like more advanced so we can do this. And I also think that they pretty much got off on doing it, because you could tell like even the girl kind of got off a little bit on it.
Yeah, and there's a scene towards the end where they find that it's in a kind of an iconic image for this movie, the native chick that's impaled on this pole, like it goes all the way through her body and out her mouth.
Oh yeah.
The one guy, he starts to giggle, and then he realizes he's being filmed, and he changes and he pretends that he's all upset and horrified.
Yeah, and there's the implication is that they could have done that as well. Like that could have also been done by the Americans.
Right. It's just unbelievable. I mean, what kind of idiots? I mean, all right, I understand, not that I condone it, but I could understand their thinking, yeah, let's do this, let's cause chaos, and we'll blame it on the other tribe. But to actually film yourself murdering and raping people, how
Yeah.
stupid can you be?
In terms of the storytelling aspect of it, like aside from the whole all the animal stuff that happened, and I did not like how like it just wasn't too believable. Like I could understand people being real like dicks about filming all that, but then where they would actually film themselves doing the gang raping, or like the woman being there, it's like they had probably like she would know that they would do this if she's been with them for so long, and now she's not okay with it, them gang raping. And I don't know, I just didn't like how all of a sudden she is all, oh no, don't do this, after
I
being
got
with
the
them for so
impression
long.
this was the first time they had done something like that. Like
Really?
she didn't seem to have a problem with burning the whole, burning all the people in the building, but then that like was crossing the line for her. At least that's the impression I got.
Yeah. I would think that they would have done that before, like since they've been on all these trips to all these different places. It's like they just went straight for it, like it was normal. And yeah.
I think we were probably supposed to believe that they would have removed the footage of themselves raping and murdering these, but they didn't film raping the native girl by putting the spike up through her. They didn't film that, so you're never really sure who did that. But the other stuff, I think that was only for our benefit as the audience, and they probably thought, oh, we'll just edit that out later.
Yeah.
I think the post through the girl's mouth, they had talked about she wasn't, that was right before the rape thing, because he had talked to him about how virginity was very important to them.
Yes.
And then cut to them finding a stray woman and doing all that.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the found footage, they filming the natives torturing a chick, I think, because she
Yeah.
was no longer a virgin.
I actually thought that was the chick, the white chick covered in mud, and they were just
Oh.
watching them. That's what I thought. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh my god, they're watching the white chick." And
Oh my
It
God.
was,
Yeah, there was a couple of times where I mistook her for, it was hard to tell when everybody's covered in mud.
yeah,
But and the whole scene, that the one that really disturbed me was the well, I guess a lot disturbed me, but the one where they're like forcing this abortion on this lady, and it's not in any clinical way. It was just a horrible, horrible way they did it. And I guess that's supposed to be kind of similar to what we're shown in what are called Mondo films. Bill, do you have any background knowledge on Mondo films?
I'm not too well versed. I mean, I've seen Mondo Connie and a couple of the other ones, but probably I haven't seen the majority of Mondo films. There were so many of them. They were so prevalent, like from the 1960s to even through the early 70s. There were so many Mondo films, and some that were official, some that were not official. It was just sort of like footage. If you had some footage lying around, that B-roll footage of a location that you were filming at, you could put that out as a Mondo film. Like, oh, look at what we found. These people doing a fake jungle ritual. Like, okay, it's a movie. Well, it's in theaters.
Right, right. And these Mondo films were focused on sensational and graphic content from around the world, including like local customs, sexuality, violence, death. So I would almost think that Faces of Death was kind of a Mondo film, wouldn't you say?
I would call it a Mondo film, yeah.
Yeah. Now that's a movie. I worked at Blockbuster Video, and we were able to, as employees, if we wanted a video that they didn't have in the store, we could purchase it through the catalog for our own sake, and we'd have to pay whatever the price was. And I ordered Faces of Death, and the manager was this lady, and she was like, I almost canceled that, and then I saw it was you. And so I watched the film, and I finally, after I don't know, like a year or so of owning it, I just gave it away to somebody else. I couldn't revisit that movie. I find that to be even worse than this movie. I mean, maybe because this movie, with the exception of the animal killings in this movie's fake all the way through, whereas Faces of Death, you're not 100% sure what's actually fake and what's real. Like when they're using spatulas to pick people up off of the Autobahn, that's real.
Yeah.
So what is Faces of Death?
Oh wow. One of the
I-
most notorious VHS tapes of the 80s.
Really?
It was most of that stuff was fake that's in Faces of Death. And I think a lot of it was debunked, but I can't remember if it's Faces of Death or Faces of Death 2 that has the footage of the guy that's attacked in the by a wild cat, like on a safari, or
That might be part two, because the one in part one is the guy gets attacked by a bear.
the bear. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, some of the stuff was real and actually happened. It was kind of disturbing.
Yeah, I heard they told the couple that, or somebody, I don't know, the film crew, or whatever, said, oh, it's a friendly circus bear, and that's why he went over to try and feed it, and the bear ripped him to shreds.
Hmm.
Why am I laughing? Why am I laughing?
That's what I saw in high school, and we were laughing through it, even though we were. I think it's a normal reaction to something so disturbing. You just kind of do that nervous laugh,
I was just thinking, dude, what a dumb way to die. Like, no offense.
Yeah.
No offense.
It happens more often than you think.
Yeah. It's there was one time, this is not totally related, but I was at a convention once, and there was a dude selling bootleg VHS tapes, and he had a TV monitor up, and it was like way up high or something, and he was playing some of his videos, and I'm standing there, and I watch over and I look up, and there's a lady, and she's just standing waiting for the train, and she looks one way, and then she, for some reason, I don't know what happened, but she steps down on the track, and the train comes and hit her, and she just exploded like a water balloon. And I was like, oh, I didn't need to see that. Okay, now I'm gonna have nightmares.
Oh no.
That was absolutely real.
I'm not going near a train after that. If I see that.
I think it was like she was looking this way, and the camera was like this, and you could see the train coming, and she steps out without realizing it, and then bam, gone like that. And it's just like,
horrible.
Rest in peace.
These movies really put the horror in horror movies. But the big thing about this movie too is that, Deodato, in trying to figure out what to do, he wasn't just like, he didn't just go and say, hey, let's make a found footage movie. That sounds like a great idea. He wanted to portray the media, like he wanted to focus on how the media has little regard for journalistic integrity. He felt like a lot of news was staged in order to achieve sensational footage, and the Italian media was symbolized by the behavior of the film team in Cannibal Holocaust. So this film is sort of a criticism of the lack of integrity in the media. And I thought that was a very interesting takeaway, which I never actually really thought about in previous viewings, Anyone?
It's interesting. I was just taking it all in, honestly.
Okay.
I was like, dang, wow.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, at its core, it's this message about how the media is corrupt and they'll just do anything for a story.
And you also think, what if it, if you didn't put all that actual animal killing, do you think it would have been more popular? And if you just faked the killings, and
Well, I read, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but I read that one of the reasons he allowed the animal killings in the film was when you saw it and you knew it was real, and then they cut to a fake killing in the movie that's supposed to be real, your brain automatically thinks, oh, that's real too. So he was kind of faking the audience out and tricking them into believing the special effects by inserting footage of real animal killings. I'm not saying, I'm not condoning that, but that was his rationale.
Yeah, I mean that seems that tracks for me, but
makes sense.
It's just sort of a lot of people criticize this movie obviously and say they're never going to watch it because it contains real animal deaths in it, and that's fair. If you don't want to watch that, then I can certainly understand why. But there are other movies as well that they don't have the lineage of Cannibal Holocaust, like they have more like Andalusian Dog, um, Apocalypse Now. I mean, these are all movies where an animal is actually killed on camera, and those are considered art films, or they have loftier ambitions. So for some reason, it's okay to kill an animal in those circumstances. Whereas if you're making a movie like Cannibal Holocaust, how is that any worse than any other movie that doesn't get called out for it?
Right. And was it Day of the Animals where the guy, one of the actors, was actually shooting, there was a bunch of rats and he was shooting them with the shotgun for real?
That was Food Gods.
Food of the Gods. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you can actually, I forgot about that one. And that's really disturbing too, even though, people don't generally have warm feelings for a pack of rats that came out of your garbage or something. But these rats were getting shot for real. And it started to get a
Damn.
little disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you kill a spider, and it's like, oh, like that's fine.
Yeah,
Like,
because it's smaller.
oh,
What was
I don't know
watching?
what point I'm making, but there.
I did we did a show recently on a Chinese vampire movie, and there's a scene where this one guy, he's trying to make a magic potion or something, and he literally cuts a snake open and pulls out like the poison sac or something. And that was clearly real because the snake was moving. They did not have the ability to make it look that real back then. This was like 76, 77, something like that. But one thing, the thing in the movie, the animal you guys were trying to find the name of, or we all were, it's a coati.
Huh.
Thank you.
And I guess one of the actors, Kerman, he basically objected to the killing of that, and he stormed off the set when that scene was filmed because he didn't want to.
Who was Kerman?
Kerman was. Hold on, what's my?
Oh, that was Alan, or was it?
Hold on, I've got it up here.
No,
Get it right here. That's the main guy, the porno guy, Harold Professor Monroe.
Okay, yeah. So,
and
wait, was he there when that happened?
I don't remember.
It's been a
think
while
he was
since
on-
I saw it. I admit.
Oh, okay, yeah, he was. I just watched it the other day. I don't think he wasn't in the scene. I think it was the natives doing it, but he was on set. So because they were all kind of living there. So, but yeah, and it was funny because a lot of the actors were really upset with this. The guy that had to shoot the pig, he's like, I kind of made friends with the pig because we traveled to the set back and forth every day. And then they wanted me to shoot it in the head.
Hey.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was really upset. They did it off camera. Like when he refused to do it, somebody else did it. And then like the pig was squealing and dying, and he was right there. That must have been so traumatic.
Damn.
I can't imagine that at all. And the guy that played Alan, Gabriel York, he was like, I've never seen such cruelty like this before. And it's a level of cruelty unknown to me, is what he said. And it's just the genuine killing of animals. He thought he was maybe in a snuff film. He wasn't even sure.
He played it well. I'll tell you what, he played it well for not being like
he's the one that had to kill the pig, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, I'm looking right now at all the cast list, just so I can just see the pig face to the name.
Yeah,
man,
it's just unbelievable. And I don't know. The coati, I guess Kerman was basically begging Ruggero Deodato to let the animal go, don't kill it, like right up until they filmed it, and that's when he left the set.
You said Kerman? Where's he at?
He's
Robert Kerman.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. And then the chick there, the white chick, she cried when they butchered the turtle, and she was in the scene sitting there watching it. I think that was real.
Yeah, I got that whenever I was watching. I was like, oh, it looks like she's actually like really upset. Like, man.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But yeah, what Deodato felt was, the scenes of real violence against animals juxtaposed with the fake scenes of cannibals killing and eating their victims. While if you took a still shot of the special effect, it would look ridiculous, but combined with the real footage of the animal of the real animal being killed, your brain is still processing viewing the suffering of the animal, and so it's hard to shake that and then say the next scene looks fake, which, hey, filmmaking is the art of illusion, I guess.
Yeah.
My go-to disturbing animal death on camera movie is Pink Flamingos, which
yeah.
that really, because that comes out of nowhere. You literally have no idea that you're going to see a chicken slaughtered in a sex scene on camera in Pink Flamingos. But what it happens, it's too late. You've seen it. And John Waters has once again destroyed part of your mind forever.
He's going, now they can't unsee this.
Right.
Robert Kerman looks like a 70s porn star. Like, honestly, if you look at him, I'm like looking at sorry, I didn't mean to.
He was the real deal.
Well, it makes sense though now too, because he gets like totally buck naked in the movie, and I'm like, wow, he's awfully comfortable with himself. Well, obviously now that I know he's a porn
Yeah,
that's a good point, dude. And all those girls went up to him and was like, he was just like,
yeah.
Like,
they come from out of nowhere too, but that's actually a good moment in the film too, in terms of like the whole sequence, not just that scene where he kind of he ingratiates himself to the tribe.
Yeah.
The film crew walked in and pretty much started stomping on everything the moment they got there. And so, yeah, they got their comeuppance, but these guys came in, he tried to make nice with them. I think even the Miguel, initially they had that one native guy that was like he was tied up he had a rope around his neck. I think the soldiers had captured him or something. And
yeah.
he brings him out to the river, takes all his clothes off, and he's like, look. My microphone. He takes his clothes off and he's like, oh, don't hurt me. I'm okay, and they did a much better process of trying to befriend the tribe rather than just simply go in and go, oh, they're a bunch of savages and rape and pillage the place.
And that's why I said that, like, I really like the first half of the movie. Like, I like that the process of seeing them, go up to the tribes, him emaciating himself. Is that the word? Probably. With the tribe. And just, I really like that part. And then all the other stuff happened. The freaking the music he had, and just there are all the reactions to him having the music, and just I loved it.
Was that, I thought he had recorded one of their rituals and was playing it back to them. Was that not that? Was it just something random he was playing?
I think it might have been random. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was just music.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like tribal music to me. So I figured, oh, he must have recorded it, and they would be like, oh.
They said what it was.
Oh,
they said what it was, but I can't think of it.
Yeah.
I thought I knew this movie so well that I didn't have to watch it again. And here now I'm realizing there are so many details I could have brushed up on. It's not like the show is a surprise to me or anything.
Yeah. And the whole, whenever the dude shot the other tribe with his gun, he just goes,
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how they got pretty much good with him.
Yeah. And he what was the point where he says that he did so well? I think it was after the music scene that the guide says to him, look, you did so well, they've invited us to dinner.
Yeah. Then he gets to eat the heart or whatever. And then he does it.
I know. I was thinking that too. I'm like, well, you can't not do it because then
you have to
insult, yeah.
I looked at my girlfriend. I'm like, I'm eating that heart. Like, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm eating it. If that was me.
Otherwise, I'll be the dinner.
Yeah. Otherwise, it'll be my heart in someone else's hand.
Yeah. Oh my God. I like the scene too, though, where the guide has a snake in his boot, and it bites him. And they're trying to get the poison out or whatever, and they finally realize it's too late. And he's like, chop my leg off. So they do it, and then he dies.
Yeah. Just to get some extra dismemberment in there.
I don't even think the dude like said to chop off his foot. Just they were like, we can record this. Like the dude was pretty much just passed out of that. When I even passed, I was just screaming, and the guy's like, "We got to chop his leg off and record this." And man,
You
it
know,
just dies.
yeah. Excuse me.
Who was the dude who was the first dead body they found? Because I remember watching all the way through. I'm like, who was that?
Oh, the skeletal remains.
Yeah, the first one, because I swear the two guys. Let's see, what was the name? They had the Allen guy and is it Mark? Alan and Mark.
Yeah.
Alan dies with the he falls down camera, but how did Mark die? Like, did he just get taken, or because I know Perry got taken and well, Jack. And his
Yeah,
vineyard.
I don't think they showed the death of the other guy. The last, there were two guys left,
Yeah.
Alan and another guy, and yeah, I don't think they showed what happened to Mark.
Yeah, I was very confused because I was like, they didn't show his death. Was that just him? Like at the beginning?
Jack was the one that got torn apart.
Yeah.
Yes, in loving detail for about 5 minutes on camera. Every part of his body is just torn off.
And every time they took her out, they'd be like,
yeah.
Yeah.
At least some of the cannibals like cooked his parts over the fire that was going.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, they had some respect.
Some barbecue going on there. Oh.
Come to think of it, that's another thing that happens in Pink Flamingos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a have either of you guys seen Pink Flamingos?
I saw it so long ago I don't remember it. I'm gonna have to revisit that.
Yeah, there's a scene at Divine's birthday party where the cops try and bust it up and the party guests all rush at them and tear them apart and eat them.
Oh, geez.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Cannibalism.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, like my friend Mike that was on the show last month, Bill, you may recall, I think afterwards, after we were recording, we were talking, I was telling you what this show was going to be about. And he's like, yeah, no, I can't do cannibal movies. Just
well, cannibalism really is sort of like one of the last taboos to be exploited on camera, because people haven't really, up until this movie, it really was not presented as graphic as this film has. There were many cannibal movies. Probably the most notorious and famous, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But
that's true.
That movie is genius because it barely shows you anything. Like you hardly see anything, any carnage happening on camera. Whereas Cannibal Holocaust, like I said earlier, they were like, we're gonna go there. We're just gonna show it as much as we can and have it still look realistic. Like they noticed, like some of the severed head, they don't linger very long on them because like they would see how fake they looked probably.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One thing I thought was really cool about this that I didn't know before at all. I forgot that they kept referring to the jungle as the Green Inferno. And I guess that was the original title of this movie.
Yeah.
But then within the film, the producers that wanted to make the documentary from the found footage wanted to call it Green Inferno. And Green Inferno, of course, is also the name of the movie that Eli Roth made in 2012. So, which was another, but it was a completely different story. They were like, what? They were like peace. What do you call it?
I saw it. I saw it recently, like a couple months ago.
Yeah, I've seen it too.
I like
it was very similar, let's just say.
Yeah.
The circumstances for them being in the jungle were different, but that was where the non-similarities ended.
Yeah. Right. It was definitely,
And this movie ended up on the list of what's called video nasties, which is in England. They had this long list of films that were considered video nasties, and they just basically banned them.
Really?
For a long time. I think, is that still going on, or is that completely done, Bill?
Oh, they don't do it. Most things can get passed uncut in the UK now. Some movies are still you're not allowed to release them uncut in the UK. I think The Devils is one of them from 71. Ken Russell's The Devils.
Okay.
But yeah, the thing about the video napkins, they weren't just banned, they were illegal, and people were prosecuted for selling them, for making them available to the public. It was rare, but there were occasions where people were actually prosecuted, and it was always some dude that ran a video store. It wasn't anyone who was involved in the making of the film or anything like that. It was like someone way down on the rung.
The director's walking around with a trench coat and he opens it up and he's got all these VHS tapes inside. He's like, "Hey, you want to buy a banned movie?" Oh my god. Well, what was up with the two characters that all of a sudden the film crew, the guy and the girl, I think it was Mark and the chick Faye, they just start having sex, like in all the villages that, or what's left of them, because they had burnt half the villages down, just sitting in the background watching them.
I feel like they got off on that. That's like they were like, "Oh yeah, dude, we just did all this. I'm so turned on right now." And then all of them are watching them because they can't do anything because they're so afraid of them. And well, the one dude was just, I think, Perry or Jack, which is recording them.
Yeah,
but that's what I think. I think it was just something that they turned them on, all that quote unquote power.
They were into a weird scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I read that that she the actress wanted to have sex with him to practice. Oops, I bumped my microphone. To practice beforehand, and he refused. So I thought that was odd.
Robert wouldn't have refused.
Robert. She was actually talking about Robert.
Oh my god. I like at a later point, I liked the because the one takeaway I had from this was, for all our so-called civilization, man can be just so cruel and evil. And so I liked the conversation that the professor had between with him and the female producer about how the natives, they might think we're the savages, and it was just he was bringing to light a lot of stuff that those damn producers just hadn't even considered. Just like, oh, it's gonna sell, we need to make money.
Yeah, that's all they were thinking about was the money. And I didn't even think about like that part of it, like the dichotomy between the two things, like producing a movie and making money, and then like all the stuff they did out there.
Yeah, it's funny because this movie's got such a reputation that it's very hard for a lot of people to pull the whole message out of the film, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the message is there if people want to look for it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it a few times, and to watch it a few times you gotta watch a few things a few times.
Even like it towards the end scene, I had to rewind it because I didn't quite understand what happened. So the way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, so the character Jack gets hit with a spear and all the cannibals are closing in on him. So his buddy basically gives him a mercy killing from a distance with the rifle. He shoots him and kills him. And then that's when the natives take his body and chop his dick off. And, it goes downhill from there. Is that how it played out to you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I think he just he probably didn't want Jack to live anyway, because that was one more person that knew exactly what happened. Because there was the number of crew had dwindled at that point. There were only a few of them. So he was thinking, yeah, this actually works to my advantage, because now I can make up any story I want and tell them anything happened, that these people like brutalized us, and I was the only one that made it out alive. Somehow they always think they're going to be the ones that live. The guys like Alan. They think they're going to be spared by whatever they're sacrificing everybody else to.
But what I did not like though was, well, there's a lot of things, but they made it seem like the Allen guy cared for the girl because he was like, he went back for her. Like, yet he would do all that other stuff to the other girl. Like, I didn't really understand why he would do that. Like, after everything we had already seen from him, like, you would think he would just leave her and just be like, all right, I get all the money myself. Because it's not like she had a camera or anything, you know?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if maybe he just had a last minute change of consciousness or something.
He turned on her in the end, though. I mean, they didn't try and go rescue her when the tribe grabbed her and
Right.
dragged her away. In fact, they sat there and watched it, and whoever was running the camera filmed it. It wasn't him that was running. Alan wasn't running the camera, was he?
I know, because that's when they got split up.
Yeah.
And that's how he died, because he went to record her getting raped. I thought he was going back to save her, but then he was like, oh, I guess I'll just record it and run away.
Yeah.
It's very dumb.
That was horrible too, what they did to her. They like ripped her clothes off and then gang raped her. And then the women came in after the men were done and started beating her with sticks, chopped her head off.
It looked like a cartoon whenever they were just beating her, though. Like, they just had giant blunt. Didn't even look like they were hitting it that hard. They were just like,
yeah. Mercifully for the audience, that was one of the most unbelievable deaths in the film, because they really did not look like they were hitting her that hard at all. And it sort of obscures, there are so many people in that scene that it obscures the decapitation. Like, it doesn't happen on camera, and they're just sort of dancing around with her head like it's a basketball or something.
Yeah. Right. And it was funny because my wife walked into the room in the last 15 minutes of the movie. She didn't run screaming, which was a good sign. But she was like, wait a minute, is that her head? And that's when I rewound to see exactly happened.
Subtle. It's subtle, Roger. Very subtle.
Oh, man. So the final, and spoiler, people, if you haven't been spoiled already, it's too late.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say I like the scene of the last of the found footage when the dude falls to the ground and the camera, of course, falls and is facing him, and you just he's just like, with the dead person with the eyes open looking at the camera. I like that shot. I thought that was really cool with all the natives dancing around.
Same.
But yeah, then the final at the end, we're back to New York, which, by the way, I wanted to mention, I love movies from the 70s and early 80s where they take place in like New York, and you get to see old New York as it was. The Twin Towers are still there. And it's like a time capsule,
Before it became a theme park.
Right. Oh my God. But I guess, and I liked at the end though, when he's the professor's walking out of the building and he's with the producer chick, and he basically turns to her and he goes, I wonder who, I think he said it to her, or maybe he was just narrating, but he basically says, I wonder who the real cannibals are. And I love that because it leaves you walking away with thinking about that, going, what did he mean by that? If you didn't get it at first. So
that was the message of the film, I think, was that there was barbarism on all of their parts. And it was even more so, it seems even worse that this crew of people from a different part of the world, where we were so much supposedly more advanced than these tribes living in the jungle, and yet the minute we were back there, we were doing the same thing as they were, and thinking nothing of it. Like, their lives were just disposable to these people because they were different than them, because they were a different race, a different culture, even a different, everything about them seemed completely alien to these people. So they said, well, we can do whatever we want with them.
Right.
Which is evil.
Yeah.
To the least.
Yeah, that's the thing, is just, oh my God, it's just so horrifying. So Hunter, have you seen any other cannibal movies that you'd like to bring up?
Oh man. None that come to mind right now. Recently, I know this is kind of basic, but dude, ever since Prey came out, I've been watching all of the Predators and all of the Alien versus Predator movies. And a lot of people say Predators 2 is underrated, and honestly, it is. I really liked it. Like,
Predator 2.
Predator 2.
yep, Predators, the second one, pretty much.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree with you.
Yeah, with Danny
but I
Glover.
know it's yeah. I know it's not like a cannibal movie, but that's just what I've been watching, and we're just trying to get into. But
Yes.
cannibal movies. You mentioned Hostel 2 earlier.
Mhm.
I watched those. I like the first one. The second, third one, I'm not really huge fan of, but I can't really think of many. The Hills Have Eyes. I know it's not really a cannibal movie, but that one freaked me out a little bit.
Oh, that's a cannibal movie.
The original?
Absolutely.
The original or the remake, Hunter?
I don't know. I know there's a rape scene. I don't know
There
if
is in
that.
both versions. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know when was the original released.
77.
Yeah.
I probably haven't seen that one. I'll be honest with you.
E.T.'s Elliot's mom in E.T. is in the original Hills Have Eyes. Dee Wallace.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Had her on the show. She was good.
ooh.
Bill, what about you?
Cannibalism is my jam. I'm into it totally. But the strange thing is we're the subject of tonight's program is Cannibal Holocaust. The kind of cannibal film that this movie is really is sort of, I don't know. I've seen a couple of them, but I haven't delved into this genre as well as some other people have. But cannibalism as a topic has always been something that fascinated me in a gruesome way. I don't want to emulate it, so don't get any ideas. It was just
Hey man, there's no judging here.
Thank you. I appreciate you making this a safe space. But no, it freaks me out, the idea of it. And one of the most disturbing cannibal films that I ever saw had almost no graphic violence in it whatsoever. It's one of my favorite films. It's called The Folks at Red Wolf Inn. And it was reissued many times under many different titles, the most familiar of which is Terror House. And it's about sort of, it's one of those movies that just sort of, it doesn't tell you the explicit details of everything that's going on. It leaves it up to you to piece it together. But it's a young college girl. She gets a letter in the mail, and this is 1972. So there was no caller ID or the internet where you could go Google somebody's address and see where they lived and stuff like that. So this kind of thing was way more plausible back in the early 70s. But she gets a letter in the mail saying she won a vacation to a seaside resort, and there's a private plane on the way to come get her. And she leaves without telling anybody where she's going. And she ends up later that night at this weird mansion beside the sea. And there's other girls there around her age. And these old people run the inn, and they treat them to this extravagant feast every night and just fatten them up with all this stuff and all these like strange looking racks of ribs that they're feeding them. And of course, it turns out they're eating human body parts, and these people are cannibals. And every night, one of the girls goes home in the middle of the night, and the next morning they wake up and they're like, "Oh, where did she go?" And they're like, "Oh, she went home." They're like, it's sort of like a comedy, but it's really great because there's a story that develops that's sort of like a romance. There's a crazy grandson that at this resort, and he kind of has the hots for our lead in the film. Her name is Regina, and she and Baby John sort of have this thing going where he likes her, but he knows they're going to end up killing her, and he starts freaking out over it, like because he doesn't want them to tear her up. And there's a test like that she eventually figures out, of course, that she's been eating human flesh all this time. So now that she knows, they sort of test her in this brilliant scene where they make her come to dinner, and they just want to see if she'll eat it, like if she will be one of them, if she can eat the meat knowing that it's people. And then if she could, she might be allowed to stay as Baby John's wife, like if he likes her that much. So I won't spoil the ending of the film, but that kind of cannibalism theme is more familiar to me, like the surreptitious people doing it in like your neighbor could be doing it. That bothers me more than the like Cannibal Holocaust, Jungle Holocaust genre.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that reminds me of the movie Parents with Randy Quaid.
I love Parents.
Where the kid goes, I remember from the trailer too, and the kid's like, "What are we having for dinner, Mom?" And she goes, "Leftovers." He goes, "Leftover from what?" And she goes, "Just leftovers."
I gotta watch these, man.
He
I
says,
gotta-
"What were they before they were leftovers?" And she says, "Leftovers to be."
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's a good one. I'm trying to call it up here, but my internet is running a little slow, so I'm gonna get rid of that. But there was one I was who was I talking to? I was talking to Juan Ortiz today from the B Movie Cast, and he brought one up from 1973 called Yellow-Headed Summer. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's got Lawrence Harvey and Stuart Whitman in it. And basically, all right, here's the plot. Can you guys hear me?
Is that it? Yeah, is that Welcome to Arrow Beach?
Yes, original title, Welcome to Arrow Beach.
Yeah, Welcome to Arrow Beach, and it was also released under the title Tender Flesh. Meg Foster's in that, I think, or Meg Ryan. Meg Foster
It's got
is that movie is very similar to Terror House, except that there's like a more hippie chick in it. That's Meg Foster, and she gets involved in this cannibalism plot. But the two movies are very similar.
Yeah.
There's another movie, a third movie that's almost the same plot. It's called Warlock Moon. And Joe Spano from Hill Street Blues is in it with Lori Walters, who was on, I think she was on Eight is Enough. So they way before they were on TV, they made this low budget movie. I think it was 73 also. So that was sort of like you know how every once in a while there's a little genre where we see a mini burst. There's like, stuff that killed you in your dreams. Oh, there's Nightmare on Elm Street, Bad Dreams, Evil Nightmare. There were like all these movies that happened all at once. That was like a mini cannibalism boom, which predated Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I might add.
Right. Not by much.
Yeah, I see the new
Texas Chainsaw was 74, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Toby Hooper went to the set of Warlock Moon, or he watched it. He wanted to see a print to see if it was too similar to Texas Chainsaw because he had heard that there was another movie coming out with the same theme. You asked about the new one, Hunter, right?
Have you guys seen the new one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh my god, I watched it. I was like, dude, what's going on here?
How could they do that to Sally? You don't bring her back and then kill her.
They literally the way she died at the end.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Oh my! I watched that. I physically punched something beside me. Not my girlfriend. Like the couch. like I was so angry. I was like, "There's no way all that happened just for the dude just to be like with the freaking head."
Yeah. I was quite upset about that, and well, I didn't like the movie very much otherwise either, right. So I guess it didn't matter.
And then they brought the actress back like she's some big badass, and I'm just.
Which actress? Oh, the final girl.
Yeah, the one who's like she was just trying way too. I don't know, just trying way too hard to be a badass. Like, I think she had some hay in her mouth at one point, like one little piece of hay, because she's.
You're remembering more than I did.
I think I try not to, but then all the memories just flooded back.
Yeah, I've completely blocked that one out. Oh my god, there's another one too that I remember from 1999 with Guy Pearce called Ravenous.
Yeah.
Like what is it? It's like 19th century outpost, and these soldiers encounter cannibals, and That's another one that I don't remember it except from the trailer where the guy screaming, "He was licking me."
I just got a message. 54 minutes of the 61 of the Wendigo is done. So
Nice.
Oh,
So-
can you give us a little bit of the plot of Wendigo? Because I'm very curious. Are you allowed to
So-
talk about it?
I can talk about it, yeah. So there's this dude Logan who is pretty much an influencer. Think Logan Paul, Jake Paul. The dude who plays Logan watched probably 20 or watched not 20, probably like a bunch of hours of Logan Paul compilations for his character. And you can tell he did. But he is streaming and doing his thing in the woods, and more or less dude gets ganked by something. And me, I play one of the influencer friends, TJ, who is the camera guy. I'm kind of the camera guy, but I have like the side camera guy, mini guy. There's Laura, who plays a girl named Cassie. She's a girl influencer. She's a bitch, pretty much. I don't know if I can cuss. So
Yeah, you can,
it's
absolutely.
okay.
In fact,
So
we have a
she
minimum
plays.
requirement. So
Yeah. And then another girl named Kaylee, which is ironic because my girlfriend's name is Kaylee, and she's pretty much my ex in the show. So we're in the show movie. And there's also Matthew, who he's this crazy dude, but he knows the woods, so we're like, we'll bring him along. And we're like, all right, we're gonna make this show for you, Matthew. Let's go to the woods, let's find Logan, and we're gonna document it, we're gonna post it, we're gonna do all that stuff. And we all go out in the woods and Wendigoed. We all get Wendigoed, or we see him.
What is the definition of a Wendigo?
I think it's one of those it's an ancient Indian spirit, I believe. I'm probably wrong. I'm probably wrong about everything about the plot too.
No, that's the correct definition of a Wendigo. It's also cannibalistic.
Ooh.
right.
I might be able to show you a picture of an exclusive picture.
I always think
Ooh.
of Supernatural when they fought a Wendigo once or twice.
Let's see if I can't find some blood. Sorry for the dead air.
That's okay. I was trying to think. Oh, so while we've got the dead air here, I'm going to take a quick moment to plug. Where is it? So I mentioned my buddy Juan. We actually just did a recording for our October show, and he owns a website called fifthdimensionfilms.net. And I just want to give him a free plug because he has, and I just lost the name again, Yellow-Headed Summer, aka Welcome to Arrow Beach on DVD. If people are interested, I just want to give him a free plug on that because Juan's a great guy and he's been helping me out with a few things. So
I will say sorry. You were done, right?
yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to interrupt you and everyone go do that.
You're the guest. You can do that.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't agree. Our makeup, we have on set, we had this makeup lady, Jamie Apple. Amazing. Here's just a quick little picture of
Oh man.
well, so that's good old Logan.
Cool.
These are posted, so you can't really see it that well, but I'll send you. Actually, I'll actually send this to you. See,
That
cool.
character had a bad day.
you're telling me. Let me send it to you, Mr. Roger, or Re-Gor.
I've already outed you a couple times as Roger. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter.
Well, your camera says Roger.
I know. I keep forgetting that you can change that. I just don't remember how. Let's see. It's too late now. I don't give a shit. Oh, edit profile pic. Oh, rename. There you go. You hit the three little dots. You can rename. All right, fine. Here we go. Re-Gor. Yet another thing. Now I've got to remember. Not only that, but I've also got to remember to hit record on freaking Zoom.
Oh no.
Oh, was it not recording?
Not until you heard the lady go, recording started,
Oh, that startling moment.
Yeah.
I liked that
Yeah,
moment.
I was like, what?
So it's
Uh.
fine because I can just download the YouTube video from my thing if I need it.
It's the human moments that people remember, Re-Gor.
Yeah. I'll just put like I'll cut in a picture of a film being burnt and breaking in the projector
Yeah.
and then start it off 10 minutes into it.
That was something about Cannibal Holocaust I wanted to bring up. At the end of the movie, this will give you some time to send that picture, Hunter. At the end of the movie, they kept showing the reels of the film running out, and it was during the most gory moments, so they ostensibly so they didn't have to cut back and forth. That explained that there was a cut. But in order for the film to have run out, that means that during all this, melee that was going on, the camera operator had to load another reel of film into the camera.
That's right.
There were like 4 or 5 different short reels at the end of the film, and I thought, wow, that's even more. That's a lot to swallow, even more so than Blair Witch Project, which was, the whole time I kept thinking, why are they still holding on to the cameras? And that was an even bigger pill to swallow.
Yeah, and there was a whole thing at the end where well, I don't know if it was at the end, but again, another element I missed in this movie. I don't know why I missed so many little bits from it, but they supposedly the projectionist or somebody stole one of the reels of film. I don't know
Really?
if anybody remembers that in the dialogue at all.
Oh yeah, at the end,
Yeah,
like the very end, and then didn't he make some money off it still? It said.
I think so. Yeah. Oh yeah, was that the text that came up at the very end?
Yep.
That's right. That's what it was.
I sent you some pictures of
Okay. Let's see if I
everything.
can quickly pull those up.
Also, if you want to see, I invited you to the group if you want to see the trailer.
Oh, cool. I'd play it over the Zoom, but Zoom slows everything down because
yeah.
I had
Zoom.
a cool intro I made for it, and it plays all choppy. I worked hard on a spoof video of Mexican wrestling that we did last time or a couple episodes ago, and it was all choppy and crappy. So I finally had to re-edit the whole thing. All right, I closed my Facebook, so let me reopen it here.
I'll send it to you too, Mr. Bill.
Oh no!
Thank you.
Bill.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're much.
Not sure if I'm allowed, but I'm doing it anyway.
Have you ever seen any other movies about a Wendigo?
I saw what's it called? Antlers, and I did not like it that much.
Is that the one with Harry Potter there, Daniel Radcliffe?
No, that is. I think
that's
you're thinking of Horns. Antlers. I think it's on Netflix. It came out fairly recently, and I just wasn't a fan of it. The monster looked good, but I don't know. It was it was one of those creature flicks that wasn't really surrounded around the creature. Like it was surrounded around the backstory of the characters, which like I want to see some monsters.
Who needs character development when you can have monsters? That's why we watch Godzilla movies.
There was a great movie from 2001 called Wendigo. Well, I shouldn't maybe call it a great movie because it sort of pissed me off. We were talking about, talk about a movie where you expect a monster and you don't get one.
Yeah.
But after I lost my preconceptions about what this movie was going to be, I went back and I watched it again, and it's actually pretty good. It's like a city slicker in the country movie, and the locals are suspicious, but there's this plot of the Wendigo that's woven in there, and at the end of the film they actually do give you a pretty nice looking monster, and it's on camera for maybe about 45 seconds.
Oh.
So
What movie was it again? I'm sorry.
it's called Wendigo.
Oh, of course.
If you need me to email you the title, I will.
Yeah, definitely write it down for me so I can read it.
No, wait, Wendy who?
Wendy, go.
Never heard of that.
There you go. That's what Jack Torrance should have said to his wife in The Shining.
Wendy should have goed.
I know, kidding. Yeah.
I got the pictures, Hunter.
I also sent
good.
you the trailer, and I sent you an invite to the group that they put the trailer. And the director is part of this found footage group on Facebook, or I guess the found footage group on Facebook, and he wound up putting the trailer up there for him. And
I don't have the ability to put them on screen though. Roger would have
I'm
that.
trying.
Oh,
I've
you
been
don't.
looking at it
Oh no,
for
this.
10
Oh, you
minutes.
don't. Oh, I'm not giving. I wasn't sending these for you to like. I'll just if you wanted to see.
Oh, okay.
I don't like. I don't. Don't
I
worry
wish we
about.
could show the viewers this because you look pretty like you had a bad day this day too.
Yeah. Yeah, I just showed up on set like that. I didn't even do makeup.
This is before makeup.
Yeah. They actually had to cover that up.
I think the Zoom is just hogging my bandwidth, so I can't seem to.
Oh, you do not have to. But I wasn't even expecting you to show him. To be honest, I was just just sending him to him so you could see it.
God damn it! I'm on a mission now. All right. Let's see. So, all right. So while we're doing this, Hunter, since this was kind of your pick, why don't you give us your final thoughts on Cannibal Holocaust?
I liked it up until a point. Like, and because I enjoy a good story, I really like the story. I like the way they laid out going out there, doing the tribesmen people's stuff. That was a very bad way of wording it, but I liked how they incorporated all that together. Once we got to the actual found footage part, and we had those 4 people, just 6, I guess, but I just didn't feel like it's not believable already, but I feel like there were some inconsistencies that I didn't like. Obviously, I didn't like the animal killing, but that's kind of like whenever you're going into this, I feel like no one's gonna like the animal killing. So you're going in there being like, all right, I'm not gonna like the animal killing. So I didn't really want to talk about the animal killing too much because it's kind of a given.
Right.
And it's just like, hey, let's put all these people in a freaking fire and like let's walk up into this town and just shoot them like for no reason. It just I liked it up until that because I just didn't believe it,
Interesting.
but
Interesting. Bill?
the story wise. So, no, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Phil, what's your? Oh wait, actually, Hunter, I wanted to ask real quick. What would you recommend this to other people?
Oh yeah, it's like family friendly. I like your kids. Like, do I recommended it? Yeah, I think it's. I don't. Obviously, you're going into it with caution, but I recommend it just because it kicked it off. It kicked it off the style of filmmaking that is found footage. I feel like.
Right.
So yeah, kind of like you owe it to the guy, to the Italian guy.
Yeah.
He went to court for this movie.
I don't kidding. Oh my God. So our special guest, Bob, has just joined us. And I actually got the pictures up here. So I just, first of all, hey, Bob, can you hear us? Hear me? Bueller?
He's connecting to audio. It
Still
says.
connecting,
Yeah, I'm getting a message that he is connecting presently.
Well, while we're doing that, let me all right, hold on. I'm
I
gonna
I
show
can
you.
talk about Cannibal Holocaust
Oh
while
yeah, why
Bob's
don't you, Bill?
connected.
Why don't you give us your final thoughts on Cannibal Holocaust?
I think it's the kind of movie that's not meant to be enjoyable. You're not supposed to
Hmm.
have a good time watching Cannibal Holocaust. At least that's probably what Ruggero Deodato was planning on. He wanted to shock and disturb people in a realistic sort of way. Even though, like you said, Hunter, especially towards the end of the movie, it became really outrageous to think that this could have happened the way it did. But it's easy to go along with it because it is so grounded in the shocking with the animal deaths. I'm not saying that was, I'm not making any judgment about why he chose to include the animal deaths. Without them, could it still have resonated the way it did? Maybe not. I don't know. But I think it definitely lent an element of realism to a story that was already pretty ridiculous. So, and I think it exploited that in a really genius sort of way. I think it is on a par with Pink Flamingos and Andalusian Dog, all of those films that are considered movies that you didn't go to because they were fun. It was more of an endurance test to see if you could sit and watch it. And I think it succeeds. It's a story and it's also a shock experience. So I think it's, whether or not, I don't really think it's particularly enjoyable, and uh, you can't really judge the quality of the film either because it's beyond criticism.
Right. Right. I mean, it's
Like that.
thoroughly disgusting, horrifying, revolting. Yet I can't take my eyes off it, although I did a couple times, I think. But it's definitely not for everyone. But I do like
No,
it's got this powerful message about how the media and journalism can be just too sensational to the point where they have no regard for anyone. It is
yeah.
rough. It's a hard watch, but like I said, I gave away Faces of Death. I couldn't watch that anymore. I will never ever watch Human Centipede again. I had nightmares because took me nights to
Oh, that's
watch
my
it.
favorite. I watched that. Oh, I loved
I
it.
had nightmares both nights. I will never ever watch that again. But this one, like I said, I tend to revisit every 5 or 6 years for whatever reason, and I really kind of diving into the message this time around made me like it even a lot more. Um, but and of course, I end up watching these movies alone in the dark. Everybody's sleeping, and I'm scared shitless. But I would not recommend this to someone who's thinking about starting to get into watching horror movies or has just started. I only recommend it if you get an iron stomach, and
I
as
think you probably already know if you should watch Cannibal Holocaust because of
right,
the
basically.
title.
Yeah. And this, if you want to explain, I'll zoom in on this, Hunter.
This.
Can you see it?
Oh. Ooh, that's Cassie right there. She's been Wendigoed. Oh
Oh
god,
yeah.
I just gave away something.
Well,
Spoiler alert.
Well,
based on what she looks like.
let's just say Cassie's having a bad day.
Yeah.
She's a looks like she's a cannibal, I think. At least by the redness of her on her face. I
Interesting. All right.
will say I play pretty much the level-headed, um, decent guy.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that.
All right, and then we'll go to the next one.
Good old, and that's Logan. Logan's having a good old day. And that's Jamie to the left. Jamie does amazing makeup. Like she's been doing a lot of horror movies here in the Carolinas, and she's actually going out of state a bunch of times. And she is incredibly talented. But that's Logan. Pretty much, he's the Logan Paul.
Interesting. Hold on. Why is my mic doing that? It's funny you mentioned people like Logan Paul. I'm sure Bill doesn't either. I have no idea who they are. What exactly is an influencer? You use that term a
Just
couple times.
someone who just imagine the people that have phone and they're just like streaming themselves, like, "Hey, what's up?" And they got like a bunch of people watching them, and they get paid somehow to do that.
Oh, I get it. So they're influencing the audience. Yeah, my grandson watches some of those, the kids playing video games.
Oh yeah, I watch a little bit too, but not a lot.
A little bit. Are you sure you're telling us?
A wee little bit.
A wee bit. All right, so we'll go to the next picture.
And this is the whole cast.
Oops.
It's a little bad. I sent a bad quality photo. Rip. Kaylee's to the left, or that's Taylor, Matthew, or Matthias, Cassie. Now the guy beside me to the right is actually played the monster, which is he's like 6'5".
Oh wow.
And there's Park Ranger Paul on the right, and then the director is actually right there with the camera.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Very nice. And is there one more? I think there is. Yeah. Oh, there we go.
That's me having a bad day.
That's crazy. Oh my God. All right. So hey, Bob, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Awesome. Hold on one second. I'm gonna switch.
Sorry, I was trying to connect before and it wasn't connecting.
That's okay.
So, Bob,
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to get this whole window to just move. Ah, there we go. Okay, now I can stop sharing. And all right, so Bill is taking a quick break. So
I'm back.
Oh, good. Awesome. You're just in time. We went through the pictures and now Robert Manell is here. So Robert, this is Bill and Hunter.
Pleased to meet you.
you too.
Hey, Robert. How are
Hi.
you?
Good.
Excellent. Robert, why don't you tell the guys a little bit about yourself first?
Okay. Well, I'm joining Roger here for we're going to be co-host of Cult Movie Lounge and in the future, and been writing since before the internet, and for a lot of fanzines and various books, publications here and in Europe, and covering cult movies mainly. And I also write fiction for several magazines and publications. And
Nice. And you're an award-winning blogger. Do you want to tell us about your blog a little bit?
yes, I've had a blog for quite a long time, almost 20 years now, on Jess Franco.
Awesome. What are you? I'm sure Hunter has a quizzical look on his face. Can you explain who Jess Franco is real briefly?
Spanish director. He's directed a few hundred films of cult exploitation, and it's an endless subject because his films are have many different versions, and it's a lot of fun to talk about them.
Nice. So Bob and I have joined together. We've created yet another podcast because I don't have enough to do between the two shows and this show and other stuff we got going on. It's called the Cult Movie Lounge, and we just posted our preview episode this past week, which you can find at havenpodcasts.com, and it's also on all the podcasting apps. So just look up or Google the Cult Movie Lounge, and you'll find us. And I'm excited. We're going to talk about all kinds of, like, not just Franco films. So we got Euro Spy, and what other topics are we going to cover, Bob?
We're going to be covering Euro Spy. We're going to be covering police movies, crime movies, film noir from all over the world, Japanese crime movies, Hong Kong movies, kung fu movies, all kinds of different movies, adult movies, all kinds of different movies.
I'd love to get into the Italian crime dramas, the Poliziottecchis, because I did that one with Rod Barnett, which was Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man, and that's really good. And I want to see more of those. I think I've seen Violent City and a few others, but I'd love to talk about.
Yeah, those are big topics because there's lots of them around. Lots of them are on DVD and Blu-ray now.
Yeah. And now with these streaming services, as much as I feel they're a little too much, because if a kid wants to watch, like a horror movie or wants to get into watching horror movies, they don't know where to begin because there's 100 streaming services with thousands of movies. Where the hell do you start? But the good side of it is services like Tubi have tons and tons of these obscure 70s movies, whether they be, horror or exploitation or what have you. And I just love the fact that, and even YouTube now, you can watch a lot of these Euro
Right.
films on
And
YouTube.
I'll tell you, Tubi is great. I think some of them have commercials, but they show them uncut basically. And I just got rid of all the paid streaming services. I can't afford them anymore. You can get the same movies basically for no price whatsoever. So I don't want to be paying like Amazon Prime and all these other streaming services.
Yeah.
So I'm just going with YouTube and Tubi and places like that. And they have tons of stuff on all types of different genres, anything you want.
One thing I actually recently got Shudder, and it's only like $5, maybe $6 a month, maybe.
Mhm.
And like it just opened up so many freaking movies for me. I don't know, it's like $5-6. I wound up getting it like the free trial, and I'm like, I'm very happy with it. They're making another VHS. It should be out very soon, like this month. And I'm excited to see that. They also have a bunch of originals. So
Nice.
I was on Netflix for a while, but they didn't have much that I liked on there, so I got off of that.
So did I. And plus they're just upping the prices every freaking like time.
Yeah, that really makes me very unhappy. Well, first of all, I got on there because they had a bunch of Jess Franco films, which they took off, and then they have other stuff which I like. They took off, and every year, every few months, the price is kicked up. So no, I'm not going to ever go back there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to have most of the streaming services. Like I wasn't going to get Paramount Plus or Peacock, but due to the nature of my job, where I have to write about soap operas that are on those networks, I have to have the app so I can watch them.
Right. And some of them are worth it. If it's, I would say I wouldn't pay any more than like he was mentioning $5 or $6 a month, $7. I wouldn't pay any more than that for any of these services. Like I said, Netflix they're just going to keep raising their prices.
Yeah.
And they won't even be, this is a prophecy. They won't even be around in 10 years or less.
I would say less than 10 years.
Yes, less than 10 years, right. But there's going to be some things happening there. They're going to find out that they've driven a lot of their customers away, that they outpriced themselves, and then they're bankrolling all these expensive movies for hundreds of. They're going to go bankrupt.
And I think they're going bankrupt too because all those people that got DVDs in the mail from them that never sent them back really.
Right. I never got into that, And the only reason I saw the Scorsese film, what is it? The with Robert De Niro. That was a good
Godfather?
one. No,
Raging Bull.
No. I forgot the name of the film about the hitman. I saw that on Netflix. That was an original production, and that was very good. Okay, but that was the only good new thing they produced that I had seen.
I like Stranger Things. Just watched the most recent season of that. I like Skeleton Key. They have a few things. I'm not a huge Netflix fan, but I did like those ones.
I do have Shudder. I've got grandfathered in with Shudder because I had it so long. I get it for like $5 and some change every month. They didn't up the price for if you already had it, but they've always had a nice selection of movies. They're not always there. They rotate them, so sometimes you got to jump on things because it's not going to be there forever. Probably. I like they have the Creep Show anthology series, and that's been pretty consistently good. I have to say, I've enjoyed it. It keeps getting better and better. This series, the episodes that I see. I like Shudder.
You're talking about Cannibal Holocaust tonight, right?
We just wrapped that, but do you want to give us your?
No, I'm just gonna because my computer's timing out again. I've had computer problems, but before I lose this, that's a pretty
first date material.
Yeah, that's really a pretty great film. I think it's it's more relevant today than it was when it came out. I think because of some of the themes going on in the film about the news media creating creating bad news to keep viewers, and it was just really well done. I don't like some of the other cannibal movies. I don't like, but that was had something, I think, substance to it. And I've got a DVD of it, and not a Blu-ray, but I watch it every once in a while. It's really, I think it's really very good in that genre. It's about the best you can cannibal movie you can get if you want to go into cannibal movies.
Awesome. So Robert, before we lose you, why don't you give out your website to the listeners?
Okay, well, I've got a number of websites, but my blog is www.robertmonell.blogspot.com, and you can search around. I've got, if you search around Google and things like that, you'll find me in different places at different times. And I'll be back here very soon.
Excellent.
Nice meeting everybody, but my computer is really wailing out here. So talk soon.
Right on.
Sir.
I'll talk
Thank
to you.
you.
Hey, nice meeting you all. Bye.
Love you.
So, Bill, did you want me to re-show the pictures? Because you weren't stepped away.
Oh, I saw them.
Yeah,
You
I
sent
sent
them to
them.
me too.
Okay, cool.
Gory stuff.
I know, huh? It's really
Yeah,
good.
we get a
So-
little bloody.
Hunter, why don't you tell the listeners where they can find you online and the film? Oh, and wait, before you do that, what have you got next coming up? What projects are you working on?
Ooh, right now we just wrapped up filming a thing called Evos, and in that I play werewolf. It's kind of like, you ever seen Vampire Diaries?
No.
Well, it's pretty much Teen Wolf.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that, but college. So we finished up a proof of concept, and we're sending it to a major streaming service that had asked for it, and we'll know by October 10th if hopefully we'll be on a major streaming service.
Wow.
Coming up, I'll be filming something called Attachment. It's like a paranormal found footage thing. The director of the Wendigo had asked me if I wanted to be in it, and as the lead, and I was like, well, I guess you liked my acting, so I'll be in that, thankfully. I'm actually going to Arkansas September 18th to film a small role in a zombie movie. And how I got that role, oh my God, I literally just messaged the person on Facebook or the page, because they were doing a casting call for 2 women who were size small. So I sent them a message, and I'm like, listen, I know I'm not the type you're looking for right now, but whenever you're looking for a man, I am preemptively putting my name in the running. So then they start talking to me. I start talking to them, just casual conversation. And they're like, oh, I got a role for you. We can probably get you in. And I'm like, all right. And one of the leads is actually in Vikings Valhalla. So I'm not getting any compensation for it, unfortunately, but having my name, having an extra IMDb credit and my name associated with some more people is really worth it, in my opinion.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So where can people find you and the Wendigo online?
The Wendigo, right now, I think I sent you a link. There's an event that we're doing October 28th. That's when we're premiering it online. We're doing a premiere online and it's running through festivals. So if it gets picked up by distributors after going through the festivals, which it probably will, hopefully, because a lot of people, Dread Central did an article, which we're really happy about. And 28th on I think I sent you the link. It's in eventbrite.com/ a bunch of stuff, a bunch of random letters. So and where you can find me is just just instagram.com/ at the Hunter Redfern. Nice. And I post about all my acting stuff on there. Excellent. And other than that, where can we find you guys?
Bill, why don't you go?
Oh, I'm on Facebook as Groovy Doom. I publish a fanzine called Drive-In Asylum. We just did what is basically our 30th issue a couple of months ago. We got a new one coming out in late October, probably early November. But so you can follow us at driveinasylum.com. You can order back issues at our Etsy shop called Groovy Doom. And other than that, I've got a new disc that came out, a company called Visual Vengeance. They're making it their mission in life to release all these wonderful shot on video micro budget films from the early 00s, the 90s, really any decade. I think as long as the movie was, good, they would put it out. They just did a movie called Suburban Sasquatch from 2005, I believe, is the date of that film. I should know that. But a great guy named Dave Wascavage made this film, before you could shoot a movie on your cell phone. It is on a digital camera. It's got some great, really rudimentary but charming CGI in it. It's a really fun movie to watch with your friend. And my creative partner and I, Sam Panico, did an audio commentary on that. So it just came out a couple of weeks ago. You can order it on Amazon. It's called Suburban Sasquatch. It's our very first. Sam and I have recorded 4 audio commentaries so far for Visual Vengeance. This is the first one to come out.
Awesome. That's so cool. And I can be found at havenpodcasts.com. If you want to give us your feedback, well, obviously you can still comment below the video even after we're not live anymore, or you can email us at thenisnow42@gmail.com. Also, if you want to be a guest on the show to discuss some aspect of horror in depth, please contact us and let us know. You can either direct message us through Facebook, or it's actually facebook.com/Fright Lounge, or you can email us again at havenpodcasts42. I'm sorry, I said the email wrong. It's havenpodcasts@gmail.com. havenpodcast@gmail.com. On my other show, it's thenisnow42@gmail. So I apologize, folks. So anyways, thanks again for joining us, the Fright Lounge, and we'll see you again on the next episode. Oh, what?
Wait, Simon, what do you mean he sounds like an influencer, ... What does that mean?
I don't get the reference.
I think he was paying you. It was what Hunter was saying.
Oh, it was
character.
he was I was reading the chat thing.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Awesome.
I couldn't imagine what's going through your head right now when not knowing about the chat. Me just saying this random thing.
What's going on here?
Bill,
yeah, I didn't see any. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, Simon, he's a good buddy of mine.
Bill, I had a lot of I'm really happy I met you, man. And it's always fun seeing. It's always fun talking to you, Mr. Re-Gor.
Yes, and we're definitely gonna have you back on the show. We're talking about more horror stuff.
Oh yeah, man. Let's we'll message each other and just see what other movie we can watch.
All right.
Maybe
sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say never mind. I was gonna talk about one of the cult classic Two Girls One Cup.
Oh, that one, a short but effective film.
Charming children's movie.
Yeah, why? That's the first thing I watched with my girlfriend.
That's hilarious.
All right, I'm done. Sorry.
All right. Well,
I think that relationship's gonna last forever.
Hey man, if she watched Cannibal Holocaust with you, she's a keeper.
Oh yeah, she is.
So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us, Hunter. Thanks again, Bill. It's wonderful being with you all the time. And folks, I'm going to run the end credits, and we'll see you on the next episode.